Hey, what's up guys, Riff here. So Genshin Impact just officially released their new Natlan region, a region deemed problematic by many on social media, and I think this is a good opportunity to revisit the HoYoverse boycott because every time we do, it gets even more hilarious, and today is no exception. So for context, for those who are unaware of the boycott, really quick, basically the Natlan region was previewed back in July, and as a result, some users on Twitter started a HoYoverse boycott claiming this Natlan region was guilty of cultural appropriation and racism. And this is something that we would see all across social media, these official boycott accounts telling you everything you can and can't do, encouraging you to talk to local politicians, but the one thing they would not tell you to refrain from was playing the game, which is a big problem we'll talk about later in this video. However, at that point in July, a lot of Genshin voice actors would come forward to signal boost this campaign, resulting in one of the voice actresses being fired because obviously. But that's where we left things off in my previous video about the boycott, and you can see some people were not happy with that video. You can see this user screenshotted my video and also Hero Hayes' video and said, "This right here tells us that most YouTubers who spoke badly about the boycott are either rage bait or don't play the game." Ladies and gentlemen, I just got called a tourist by a HoYoverse boycotter. I might not ever recover from that. But anyways, they're trying to shame people like me and Hero Hay by saying, we don't play the game, which is ironic because they're supporting a boycott, and as a result, I would be doing a better job at the boycott than most of the people participating while I'm not even trying, because at the end of the day, a lot of the people who are attempting to quote-unquote boycott HoYoverse games are still playing the games and coming up with wild justifications for doing so. And you can see the 100,000+ signatures on the related petition mean absolutely nothing if people are still playing the game. It's not an isolated event where some people are doing this. It is a sizable number of the people who are part of this supposed boycott. Now, like I said, that's where we left off, but now with the release of the Natlan region officially, some of the official boycott accounts have made some statements. Let's see some of the rules they have made up for this new banner. So, we of the HoYoverse boycott urge for a strike on Natlan's very first banner, starting on the 28th of August. Do not pull during her event banner and do not purchase anything from HoYoverse. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, they are discouraging you from pulling this banner, but they are not discouraging you from playing this new update. They are literally calling this region, this related content, racist and cultural appropriation. The reason they are boycotting HoYoverse, but they're still allowing you to play it. That is what slacktivism looks like, ladies and gentlemen. And also, just for your own knowledge, this is one of the characters they deem problematic. They believe in this case that the character here, Mualani, is a racist caricature of Hawaiians because that's in their own headcanon, I guess. But right here, this is the greatest screenshot I have seen in a minute. I couldn't even write a script or make up a tweet that'd be funnier than this right here. So let's see what happened to one of the boycotters. So you can see this account right here. This is a account dedicated to posting daily pictures of a Genshin Impact character. And they also have hashtag boycott HoYoverse in their name. And then they posted this screenshot polling the new banner and saying, oh hey. Where then one user said you should remove the boycott from your name then, where they reply saying, I'm free to play, thanks though, with a snarky reply, as you can see right there. This is basically the HoYoverse boycott in a nutshell. They really can't stop playing this game, and they are just blatant hypocrites about what they're trying to do. But here is one user trying to justify what just happened. Referring to that previous interaction, they say, you do realize there's multiple ways to boycott, correct? Not really. There might be different ways of boycotting, but they all share one fundamental principle, and it's the fact that you're not supporting the thing you're boycotting. You're not engaging with it in a way that serves their interests. Like, you can't do a partial boycott in this situation. You playing the game for free does not equate to a boycott, no matter what else you're doing. You are not doing a full boycott. I can't believe you have to explain this to grown adults in some cases. But anyways, thanks to Packer Girl here for getting some of these related screenshots. But this is beautiful. It just keeps getting worse. So the confessions of a Genshin Impact boycotter. So this user who is a boycotter says this. All right, I'll reveal my secret. why I've reinstalled Genshin Impact, a thread. Now, I am still part of the boycott, but I think it's important that we don't up and quit Genshin as a whole. In doing so, we essentially give the Hoyo defenders a place to congregate, a place to call home. The thread continues. Within my first days of logging in, I was called a performative activist and called attempts at writing the N-word at me by 3 different people. I mean, you are a performative activist. They are correct when they said that. But on top of that, they say, now I should also note that yes, I was a frequent spender on Genshin and Honkai Star Rail. I would steal my mom's credit card at night and spend $20 to $40 every few weeks or so. Money spent, which would lead us to almost being homeless in summer of 2023. It just can't get any more ridiculous. The average Genshin Impact player and boycotter right here. I refuse to believe these are real people, but my observations keep telling me over and over again that there's a very good chance this is a very real person and a real set of circumstances that they're sharing. But a lot of this has to do with the fact that these Genshin Impact players, they're addicted to the game. That's why they can't fully engage in this boycott, because they can't stop playing, and this interaction really shows it. So this user says, do you have any advice on how to get the willpower to move on from Hoyo? I hate what the company's doing, but I can't bring myself to delete Genshin and move on. I've been playing for 2 years, and I feel like I just throw away 2 years of work and all the money I've spent on it. That is a very sad thing to publicly tweet. I could never. The CIA couldn't torture this information on me, but you see this user reply, the Saturn person, giving their own advice, and this person will be important because they have deactivated. Now, why did they deactivate? Well, they made a thread trying to display all of the HoYoverse sins over the years and also why you should boycott. And the thread was so ass that they literally deactivated their account within a few hours because people were clowning on them that hard. Now, luckily for you guys, I always know when to screenshot things. I always can tell when something's going to get deleted or an account's about to go private or deactivate. So I came through. Trust me, you're welcome. You're going to enjoy this. This is the thread. So it says, why I quit HoYoverse games and why you should too. A thread. Trigger warning. Mentions of pedophilia, racism, and whitewashing. And as always, anytime you see one of these like weird comic things trying to discuss a supposedly serious topic, you know you're about to read some of the worst stuff you've ever seen in your life. But on top of that, you can see there was no discussion here. This was not an open debate. This was the hidden replies before they finally took down their account. Basically, anyone who disagreed with them would get put behind a hidden reply. But here's the thread, okay? It starts off here saying, it is also incredibly racist and sickening company. They mock cultures, whitewash people of color, and it doesn't stop there with their examples of those supposed things that are quite a reach. But this is where it gets really good, okay? So they say this. They are also guilty of endorsing and advertising literal pedophilia and lolly in their games. Ew. So here's their examples. Supposedly a 500-year-old god, a character in their newest game with no confirmed age, and not showing full pic, but she is incredibly sexualized here. She is a child. So again, as always with all of these people who make these claims, if you're trying to say this stuff is illegal, you realize you'd be committing a crime by sharing this stuff. Not just sharing it, but also downloading it onto your own computer. It's ridiculous. But the main thing here is, as someone who was supposedly a pretty involved fan with Genshin Impact, how do you not know that Genshin Impact caters to a lot of lolly characters? As always, if you don't like that stuff, that's fine, but don't sit here and play the game and act like you don't see these things. They try to promote lolly characters extremely hard. They're some of the highest selling banners, by the way, and it's impossible to not know that these characters exist in the game. And on top of that, right down into the coding, you will see lolly as a body type. I mean, that's how closely associated the concept is with HoYoverse games. If you didn't know that, you're just lying to yourself. But here's some more examples, and this is where it gets crazy. You can see a bunch of malarkey here, but this one right here, very serious. His EN voice actor abuses his status and is a predator. Now, I'm assuming they're referring to Elliot Gindi. I made a video about him about a year and a half ago. I'll put a link to it in the description if you want to check it out. But yeah, this guy total predator, absolute creep. This guy was horrible, okay? But here's the thing. After all this stuff came out about him, he was fired by HoYoverse, and that was like a year and a half, maybe even 2 years ago. So what does it have to do with like the Natlan region and all this stuff? But anyways, that seems a little unserious when you have it right here, right? And then next to it, you have some other wrongdoings, and it's Genshin Impact referring to what they claim is a Hawaiian-inspired area as a vacation spot. You're comparing these two things, like, again, so unserious with these threads. And down here, more coping about the characters, and then this part is wild. So they're saying the Arlen skills here in Honkai Star Rail are problematic because they have a swift harvest technique. So are you saying there's something like, I think I know the connection they're trying to draw here, and that would just be projection. Like, that's something you probably shouldn't admit that you think of when you see a dark-skinned character with an ability called Swift Harvest. But anyways, they continue on. I wish you guys could see. I wish I had arms working with me here because I keep imitating the poses that this character's in. But anyways, it says, I can make easily more points, but I think this is enough to show how terrible of a company HoYoverse and miHoYo truly is. They should not be supported. And here's the next one. I got my hands up in the air. What can I do? Well, they say a bunch of blah, 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 but this is the important part. Next, you should stop promoting HoYoverse games on social media. I know it can be hard not to talk about your favorite characters, but this can only advertise the game to new players, which isn't what we want. Private DMs are okay. Private DMs are okay. This just shows how disingenuous this whole thing is. But continuing on, they go, and finally, boycott. Being mostly gacha games, HoYoverse is mostly fueled by their players' wallets, so do not give them money. Don't play their games. Don't pay for their games. Don't associate with them on social media. Avoid anything that gives them a single cent. Wow, they're actually making some pretty good points. This is much more of a boycott. They're implying you shouldn't play their games even if it's free to play. However, then the next slide in their PowerPoint presentation is this where someone says, but wait, wouldn't it be better to just go free to play? Server maintenance will cost them money. Holy copium, by the way. Where they reply saying, as a former free to play player, I can see where you're coming from. So I guess it is okay to do a free to play option. Very confusing stuff, but as you can tell, this thread went off the rails. It was clowned on so hard, this user deactivated. And let's look at some other things before we wrap it up today. There are so many desperate attempts. This user right here, you got to read this. Do you think we can plot to sue HoYoverse for false marketing? Remember her. She is from Natlan. As a reader, I thought and believe this is what Natlans look like. Even if they had a shade lighter than hers, it's crazy that they basically lied to us. They are trying to start like a class action lawsuit against HoYoverse because they believe these characters were falsely advertised because they're not as dark as they initially appeared. That is insane. Here's another update. So part of the whole like do's and don'ts of the boycott is to try to contact like ambassadors and all these things. And this official HoYoverse boycott account here makes a thread saying that they're sorry for being a little quiet on their process, and they've been working hard contacting ambassadors. And they say, we have contacted over 30 cultural ambassadors so far, with many more to go. Now, that sounds great, except they're not saying we talked with 30 cultural ambassadors. They just said we contacted, which means none of them replied, as they shouldn't, because this is an absolute waste of time. But yeah, at this point, just let it go, dude. The region is out. You're encouraging people and saying it's okay to keep playing as long as you don't pull certain banners, and people are doing it anyways. This whole thing is just an absolute joke. In fact, even some of the characters from this Natlan region that have darker skin are being dismissed by users like this saying, cool, now do the actual characters that we care about. You literally can't win, but to sum this up with a nice bow on it, look at this. A few days ago, just before the Natlan region went live, Genshin Impact announced that at the Gamescom Award 2024, Genshin Impact has won the Best Mobile Game Award. This is a crowd-pushed award, meaning they got a lot of support from the community across the globe, enough to win Best Mobile Game of the Year. That is insane and ironic, as this is all happening during these supposed boycotts. But that's going to do it for this video. Another round of laughing at these people. I don't know how much longer all of this is going to go, but if there's any more significant developments, we will take another look at these boycotters to get another good laugh out of it. But for now, that's going to do it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. As always, feel free to share your thoughts about today's topics in the comment section down below, and I'll see you guys next time.